Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, at the moment, the convener of Citizens Forum, Professor Wale Soyinka, has issued a statement. They have adopted Kingsley Moghalu as their presidential candidate for the forthcoming general elections, which, as you may see that. But we'll get you more information concerning the reasons why they went about all of this as we progress. But back to this now. You did suggest that look, if we need to save certain things, we need to postpone the elections. Of course, there'll be
not all the elections.
Not all, the presidential elections. Yeah. But there'll be a lot of cynics who will not even want to hear it. But why should they listen to it?
Well, Nigerians, like most Africans, globally are categorized as being emotive, intuitive, and incapable of critical thought. Unfortunately, a lot of the foreign policy handles Africans, and Nigeria especially, like that. The way they handle problems when it comes in their homeland, when they come here, they tell us to do things that are different, which will not solve our problems, but will help them. One, let it be known clearly that there are some schools of thought across the world that know that when the ISIS war is terminated, it will be better. Zero game theory. It will be better to create a new front where all the mujahideen in the world and all those who are involved in this new war form, where they can be diverted to. Now, the most attractive spot in the world right now that has made itself the most attractive for it is Nigeria. Nigeria is extremely strategic. If people ever got to know how much Osama bin Laden spoke about Nigeria and what his plans were for Nigeria, those skeptics will first of all calm down. Two, anybody who knows that we have sat for years in these areas and how many places we've helped to set up early warning, and even in places where I remember 2001 when we started talking in Plateau State that, look, there's going to be bloodshed, there's going to be suicide bombers. It was greeted with a lot of skepticism.
Yeah.
In fact, in the year 2001, 2002, 2003, when we were talking about how, you know, all these things will develop, even when I came on channels here, I can tell you many people came back later and said, oh, we never thought there was any substance to that. But don't forget that when a medical doctor looks at a sickness and a disease, he understands the stages, he knows the symptoms. A person who's not a doctor will not be able to see things the same way. Now, this postponement will basically not change the election results, but it will help us to build a stronger country. The fourth stage of this disease is an internal collapse. It's like a medical disease. I've told you, stage one, your indignation, what's all this? Everybody's up at arms reacting. In stage two, you begin to accommodate it because you become petrified, the fear sets in. Yeah. In stage three, your will is practically broken. By stage three, you are going comatose, as it were. So many things will be done that you won't even resist, which before you would have resisted. Now, these are symptoms. Nigeria is manifesting all these symptoms as a nation. But nobody's telling us. Now, the final stage, normally, is that there will be a collapse from within. This has happened, I think, because the southern part of the country has only begun to see the bloodshed in recent times. They don't appreciate the ferocity of the predator that is after Nigeria. So I don't think I'm an irresponsible person that will look at all the work that has gone and say, let's postpone the presidential elections and let's do at least 3 or 4 things before.
Now, in the event that, as we have, there's going to be a lot more time, in futures, in the coming days to talk about this in a lot more detail. But in the event that the election is not postponed, there is some work that's been done, in terms of security and all of that. Posting of security personnel all over Nigeria from the different security apparatus of state. Let's talk about the people. What can the people themselves do? There's going to be at least 40 million women. There are at least 40 million women and teens in the number of people that are expected to vote of the 84 million people. What do they do or can be done to protect themselves?
Well, what you're proposing right now is a zero-sum game. Because the truth about these things is that you go and ask in most of the states, one by one. For instance, Benue had at least 8 years warning before things started erupting there. It was so obvious that Benue was next in line. After Plateau State, it was going to be Benue, Kogi, and then, of course, when the Boko Haram was being held down, the new Fulani cover was able to strike deeper because they're more disciplined and all that. So what you're talking about here is a zero-sum game, because it means that, listen, Nigeria will survive, I can tell you this. We're a very resilient people, but we can either choose the easier way or we can go for the harder way. So everybody knows something. Everything rises and falls with leadership. In a nation, in a community, anywhere. So what you're talking about here, we're going to need extraordinary leadership to see us through a time like that if we allow it to start at all without putting into place the things that are needful before having a presidential election.
Such as?
Let's just do 3 things. Number 1, the value of human worth is too low right now. We need to form a coalition of all religious bodies and charge the people in charge of religious bodies. Please, the value of human worth is too low. You are supposed to be the gatekeepers of the morals, virtues, and the standards of the nation. So we put religious leaders on the spot to increase the value of human worth across the entire country, number 1. Number 2, we need to engage some more digital-based security systems that involves everybody. Fighting terrorism is not something that can be done by the army or just soldiers or the government and all that. There are methodologies by which you can recruit everybody in the nation, build opinion, mold consensus, and then deploy certain digital means by which we can cut down everything to like by 70%, a factor of. Number 3, if we do this, we have the opportunity to make it clear to the nation that, look, Guinea has 40% Fulani. They've never produced a president. 4 nations have Fulani at either the presidential or vice presidential level. They've never overrun those nations. So all these conspiracy theories against the Fulani, let's debunk it. Why? Then we can work together. Okay, if we're able to do that, we're now also able to get people to realize that what we are facing is a global war form, which the Minister for Information is admitting.
Unfortunately, we can't go further. I know you're itching, but don't worry.
It's a serious concern.
There's more coming in the days ahead.
Yeah.
But now, we'll have to switch gears, but we kind of appreciate very much indeed your comment on this morning. Reverend Ladi Thompson, a strategic security thinker. Always a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you very much.
All right, so we'll toss now to Abuja and get some more perspectives as we continue our build-up to the 2019 general elections. Makwe?